Hello, this is Benji52 and this is episode 1 of my Call of Duty Mobile Weapon Guide. Today's episode will be on the NA45, an explosive sniper created by Atlas in 2042 with an interesting primer catalyst system. The NA45's damage is high, boasting the highest per shot damage of all the other sniper rifles. You will kill an opponent with just one explosion anywhere on the body, depending on if the primer is activated nearby. This damage extends out to any range too, meaning that you can deal explosive surprise at the most surprising of positions. Among other things, this stopping power is held back by its penetration characteristics. Unlike most weapons, there's no bullet penetration whatsoever, making shot placements vital to your success. Rate of fire is also at the top of his class too, firing at a rate of 600 rounds per minute or 750 RPM with a light trigger attached. This is comparable to the slow-firing SMGs and assault rifles. However, the fact that you must shoot twice to deal any meaningful damage and having to reload every time you do so means that this potential rate of fire is toned down somewhat. Hipfire is surprisingly good. While the hipfire crosshairs are very large, having a large margin for error to explode the primer means that at a close range, as long as the primer is fired at a good spot, you can hipfire the catalyst round as fast as possible and still trigger an explosion. Recoil is substantial, kicking drastically upwards and moderately to the right. You will need to exert good firing control at the longest of ranges, or invest in a lot of recoil reducing attachments. Aim time is also not spectacular, taking 500 milliseconds to fully aim down your sights. You will need to aim prematurely and predict when opponents are approaching your domain. Thankfully, your mobility isn't hampered too much, where you will move at 90% of the base speed, the only average tier on this video, and this mobility penalty can be removed entirely by simply switching to your sidearm. Magazine capacity is terribly low, at 2 rounds. You will need to perform a reload after every engagement, meaning that sleight of hand is a very plausible consideration to increase your DPS, but you can also equip a fast switching pistol for a similar close quarter defense. The good news is that reloads are the quickest in class, taking 2.5 seconds to perform or 2.125 seconds with sleight of hand equipped. This means that if you are playing defensive and at a safe place, you shouldn't run into too much trouble unless you stay in one position for too long. To use this sniper rifle correctly, you must play more unconventional than most weapons in Call of Duty. Floors, walls and ceilings can all be shot at and used to kill players, without exposing your position to the enemy. Try not to shoot the players unless necessary, or if you know the player has flak jacket, as a moving player will make it harder to land the important catalyst projectile at the correct spot. Instead, shoot at the ground near the enemies and catch as many in the explosion as possible. Turning off aim assist makes this a lot easier. Watching choke points and hard points in objective games is very effective with this weapon, meaning your team can focus on capturing points and pushing the enemy team into a spawn lock, while you can kill off any stragglers that dare try to capture the B flag. Standing on the higher ground will make it much easier to shoot at the floor near to the enemy, so if possible try to find a spot that is watching an important area of contest, whilst perched above the sightlines. Building the best class for the NA45 depends on your preferred style of play. Aggressive NA45 users will benefit from attachments that reduce aim time, reload speed and increasing their damage with high explosive ammo, but our class is going to primarily be a defensive one, an area denial class, where you can kill from far away overlooking an objective or choke point, away from the confrontation and as a result, able to grab the very best score streaks on offer. To this reason, any ways to reduce recoil are essential. Otherwise, you'll find that you'll miss out on shots that you could have landed if you had the recoil to fire off the second bullet at the correct location. Our first attachment choice then is the OWC Light Compensator. This worthwhile attachment will decrease the recoil by 15% whilst increasing the ADS time by 8%. Whilst having a further slower ADS time is unfortunate, the amount of recoil reduction does make up for this, giving you a much more consistent weapon that can brain terror no matter how far away your target lies. The second attachment exacerbates the problems above in return for more recoil reduction. The OWC Tac Long. The hit flinch is more helpful than you think, making the catalyst round more likely to hit where you want it to go when under fire, instead of drifting off course. The additional 12% ADS time is another sacrifice you must make for more consistent explosions. However, due to the way Call of Duty Mobile is coded, all movement speed changes are reduced in multiples of 5%, meaning that the negative 3% movement speed penalty does not apply to this weapon at all. The third attachment does the same as the other two, the Ranger foregrip. With negative 20 vertical recoil added and negative 45% vertical recoil in total, you can now shoot at maximum fire rate anywhere on the map and the recoil will always fully settle in time for the next shot. ADS movement speed isn't a factor without defensive loadout, as is sprint to fire delay, but with the further 15% cut to ADS time, it will now take 675 milliseconds to fully aim down the sight. As long as you prematurely prepare for engagements by aiming, you'll find that this isn't that much of a sacrifice. Our fourth attachment is the final accuracy boosting one, the tactical scope. The other options, including the default scope, are zoomed in far too much to be used in any conventional setting. The NA45 is much better to use when you have a larger amount of peripheral vision, and as a result, the lowest magnification optic available will make your time with this weapon much more manageable. The fifth and final attachment addresses the NA45's key weakness, its lack of damage. With the high explosive ammo attachment, you now have a much larger lethal damage radius of which you can kill the enemies with. Once you get good with this weapon, you'll find that the detonation range is generous enough already, meaning that electromagnetic ammo simply isn't necessary. What's more important, however, is being able to more likely kill opponents with a single shot before they have time to retaliate, and as a result, this makes high explosive ammo a must-have attachment. For your perks, stealth and resistivity are your biggest focus. Getting to your perch to defend your chosen hardpoint or domination flag is difficult without any stealth benefits, and the resistive perks will make it much harder to be dislodged from your position. For our red perk, we will be reducing explosive damage with Flak Jacket. This perk is very useful with an explosive class, since there will be times where you have to deal damage to players at a close range. With this perk attached, you don't have to worry about blowing yourself up, and instead can focus more on your sights. As your kill count increases, you can expect players out for revenge to throw a lot of ordnance your way, and Flak Jacket will prevent you from dying to such circumstances. For our green perk, Ghost is the most viable choice. You get enough starting ammo supply already, and Vulture simply does not work on the NA45. Toughness is pointless since you have the OWC Taclon equipped, and Ghost is needed to get yourself into the correct defensive position without popular UAVs giving away your location. Our build forgoes the suppressor, but it was never my intent to stay in one place for an extended period of time. Our blue and final perk is Spent on Demo Expert. This perk is the most important of all, as it will increase the NA45's damage by a further 25%. Since Call of Duty Mobile uses the primer bullets as a semtex in the game's code, Demo Expert will also apply to your primary weapon as well as your grenades and launchers. This means that with high explosive ammo and Demo Expert combined, one-shot kills are almost guaranteed, and with the massive recoil reduction on top of that, your weapon accuracy and consistency will skyrocket. For a sniper class, it's always worthwhile to use a handgun in your secondary slot. Attach this with a 5% movement speed buff, and you'll be able to use its extra speed to get to sniper positions much more quickly, find enemies to shoot more often, and be even harder to locate despite lacking a suppressor in our loadout. You can use the Transform Shield to protect your back or defend a choke point even further, and Thermites to cover an objective whilst you reload your weapons. The NA45 is a deadly explosive sniper rifle, capable of killing multiple opponents with just one tiny magazine. Its damage, fire rate, hipfire, and reload speed are unparalleled for its class, which definitely makes up for its abysmal recoil and aim speed. The amount of work you can do with this thing is massive, but all it takes is one coordinated assault and you are done for. Overall, a great sniper rifle that deserves the ranking of A+ tier. So whenever you're willing to play aggressive or defensive with this weapon, sit back, pull the trigger twice, and trigger your enemy's short fuse. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. This video was inspired by Ahoy's Black Ops 2 Call of Duty weapon guides. The videos in question have an amazing production quality for their time. Until then, see you later, everyone.